So if you love kayaking, climbing, or any other excursion adventure type sport, but you still feel like getting fitter means doing boot camp style HIIT sessions or endless cardio, then you're probably missing out on the one thing that's going to make the most difference, and that's strength training. The truth is that most of your cardio needs are probably already met doing the activity that you want to do. Whether it's hiking, kayaking, climbing, the amount of cardio you will need for that sport is already performed by doing that sport. So what you need to do is train for injury prevention, power output, and resilience. So in this video, we're going to be covering why you should be strength training, and 2, how you can create your own simple strength plan to get started. Here's what happens to most people. When they get started, they get really into a new hobby, and then they think, do you know what, I really need to get better at this, because initially that hobby is hard. It makes them get puffed out, it makes them struggle. So what they feel like they need to do is to go running, to go cycling, to join a boot camp HIIT class and get their cardio up. And I get it. That stuff feels great. That stuff makes you sweat. That stuff is hard work. So you feel like it's good progress. But actually, when you're doing the hobby, the more you do that, the more your cardio is going to increase anyway. So it's more wasted time. What most people skip is the foundation, and that's strength. And strength training is going to improve your ability to do the harder things within that sport. And here's what strength training does when it comes to those sports. Number 1, injury prevention. Now, especially with outdoor excursions, the potential for injury is at a much higher risk. Say you're going for a trail run or hike and the ground is uneven, you could roll your ankle, much more could happen. Maybe you're kayaking out in the water and a rogue wave hits you and spins you over, and all that pressure on your shoulders could potentially cause damage. Well, strength training helps make your body tougher. It makes your tendons stronger, it makes your bones more dense, and it makes your joints stronger as well. So that's where strength training really does come in clutch. Number 2, it makes you more resilient. When you know you can deadlift twice your body weight or bench press your body weight, you know you can withstand force. And that's really going to help when you're in those really hard sessions, or say you're carrying a pack up a hill. That pack is going to feel a lot lighter when you've done strength training. And number 3 is it's going to make you have better endurance, but indirectly. With strength training and doing strength training regularly, your recovery becomes better. For example, I have done 2 long distance excursions, one being a cycle across the UK over 4 days, and one being a marathon hike in 1 day, so that's 26.2 miles in 1 day. For the cycle across the UK over 4 days, we trained a lot of strength training as well as the cycling, and I found my recovery between each day was phenomenal. I didn't really get achy legs and I had a great time. On the marathon hike, however, I didn't really train for it. My knees, my ankles, my back, everything was sore. It took me quite a few days to recover from it, and that was only 1 day of distance in comparison to the 4 days of distance I did when I was doing the cycling. Strength training made a massive difference. It's the difference between surviving a hike and loving it. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, we need to go over whether or not we should be doing general strength training or sports-specific training. If you're a hobbyist and you're not looking to compete, then general strength training is for you. You don't really need to be doing anything crazy sports-specific. Strength training will be general functional strength training will be good enough for 90% of people to help them perform better, but also carry over to the rest of their life. Now, if you're wanting to compete and then to compete at a higher level, then sports-specific strength training will then be important to look at. But for 90% of people, you don't need to go crazy on the sport-specific stuff, mainly just focus on the fundamental human movements and improving those. So let's get into the good stuff. How to build your simple strength plan. Now, there are a few things we're going to look at here: exercise selection, rep ranges, and exercise frequency. Now, when we're looking at our exercises that we want to be doing, we're going to be going over what we call the fundamental human movements. Now, if anybody's ever heard of a man named Dan John, he's a world famous coach for athletes. These are in his book called Interventions, and he names these 5 fundamental human movements. And those are the squat, the hinge, the push, the pull, and a loaded carry. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you 3 exercises from each of these so that you can pick from that and then try to improve in those movements. Starting with the squat. Here are the 3 exercises. You have goblet squats, front squats, and Bulgarian split squats. Then with the hinge, we have RDLs, kettlebell swings, and hip thrusts. Then with the push exercises, we have push-ups, overhead press, and dumbbell bench press. Then with the pull exercises, we've got pull-ups, barbell rows, and single arm dumbbell rows. Then for the carries, for the loaded carries, we have farmer's walks, suitcase carries, or sandbag carries. What we want you to do is pick one from each of these and work on these for a few weeks. Now let's get into rep ranges. It's quite common that people feel like they need to be doing high repetition all the time because of their sport is generally, say if you're going out kayaking, you'll be kayaking for 3 hours at a time. But when it comes to strength training, we want to be keeping within the 1 to 5 rep range. This is the optimal area to build strength. So we'll be hitting 1 to 5 rep range, but making sure we don't fail every week. Having a weight that's challenging, but we can still complete all the reps. Now, we'll also be wanting to build a little bit of muscle whilst we're doing this. So we'll also want to have some exercises from the 5 to 30 rep range. Now, 5 to 30 seems like quite a lot, so you can pick, say, 8 to 12, or 12 to 15, 15 to 25, etc. The key point here with muscle building is you need to be 1 to 2 reps close to failure every set. What that means is that we have a weight challenging enough where we can complete it, but we feel like we're on the cusp of failing. This is something initially when you're starting off is going to be hard to find or hard to know when we've taken it too far, but it's something you'll learn along the way. Then what we need to focus on is progressive overload. Now, for those of you that know what progressive overload is, it's something that's been talked about quite a lot. If you don't know what progressive overload is, all that means is week on week, we want to be able to increase or improve on what we're doing. So say you've done 5 sets of 5 at a specific weight one week, then the next week we want to improve that by either upping the weight, upping the reps, or upping the sets. Now, this doesn't need to be by loads. If you're doing bench press and then you add 20 kilos on the next week, that's going to be probably a little bit too much. So focus on adding just small amounts each week that's manageable. So it could be anything as low as 1.25 kilos on each side of the barbell, or you could add 1 rep, 2 reps, 3 reps, or even just 1 set. In terms of your training frequency, 2 to 3 times a week is perfect to get started, especially if you're doing a lot of activity within the specific sport that you are pursuing. So just to recap on this, we want to be picking from a push, pull, hinge, squat, and loaded carry in terms of exercise selection. Some exercises with the 1 to 5 rep range, and then other exercises between 5 and 30 rep ranges. I would suggest starting with the strength exercises and then doing the bodybuilding, muscle building style exercises after that. Then making sure that we're improving on these exercises week on week by adding either weight, reps, or sets. You don't need to lift weights to look like a bodybuilder. You want to lift weights so that you are enjoying your time outdoors without pain, without fatigue, and without limits. Strength is what lets you go further. It lets you carry more, and it lets you climb higher and recover faster. So if you love the outdoors, stop training like you're prepping for a CrossFit comp. Train like you want to feel great climbing that hill and that you have no issue paddling into that headwind. Now, if you want a simple, no fluff way to get strong in just 5 minutes a day, then you can join our 30-day Adventure Ready Strength Challenge. It's just 1 email a day, 5 minutes a day, easy to follow, and guaranteed to help you improve your strength, your nutrition, and your mindset over those 30 days. You can sign up in the description below. And if you're interested in more videos like this or more sports-specific strength training, then subscribe and comment what sports you want us to cover. Cheers.